I don't know what to do with my hands. And welcome to another video. So the last video I touched on physical rotation, degree of rotation on your wheel, and how that overlaps with uh, the in-game rotation. But just to recap on that, as you come down in rotation or down in steering range, you increase sensitivity, um, which could possibly cause you issues holding it straight on straightaways. You could be, jerking back and forth, wiggly, things of that nature. As well as you could be burning off your front tires if you're having, front tire wear issues, or if you're getting to the middle of the corner and you feel like your car is just plowing up towards the wall and just going away from you no matter how far you turn. That could be a sign of too much sensitivity. As you go up in rotation or up in steering range, you decrease sensitivity, which could have the opposing effects. Going down straightaways, you might feel kind of lazy, like the car is just unresponsive. As you go through corners, you might feel like you have to turn it farther than what you need to be to get the car to go through the corner and things of that nature. Typically, the more sensitive you are, the worse your tire wear is going to be, and the less sensitive you are, the better your tire wear is going to be. Okay, so hopefully now everyone has their degree of rotation and their in-game range working in harmony with each other. So I'm going to get more into the feedback and advanced controls and what really helps dial in that connection to the car. So for the feedback in game, I run that at 100 and the overdrive on 0. The overdrive just helps boost the overall feedback feeling and the intensity of it. But the reason I run them that way is because on my wheel, I run around 70. I let the wheel control it. So I run that around like 70, 60 to 70%. I don't necessarily like it to, jerk out of my hands or break my wrist or nothing like that. But I like to feel the detail in the car and have, some resistance to it. For the impact boost, that is what it says. If it's jerking you around when you get ran into, just take that down. The feedback leveling seems to be the ramp or the overall feel of the feedback. As far as like road noise and things of that nature, when you hit bumps, the intensity of the bumps and stuff like that. But I also run it in conjunction with the centering spring. So the centering spring will give you some centering resistance when you turn into the corner, or some centering damping. And if you have it on, it gives you more resistance. If you have it off, you may need to adjust your leveling or your feedback to replicate how it feels with it on. But other than that, like I said, anytime you guys don't know what something does, just take it all the way down, try it, take it all the way up, try it, and find your happy medium there. It really comes down to just personal preference at the end of the day. Okay, so the advanced controls, before you can even see them, you gotta have the car handling config on custom. That will allow you to see this list right here. And this list will allow you to alter the rate of your in-game rotation. Um, so basically, when you think of your rotation, you need to think of the full lock as two separate things. You have your centering when your wheel is in the center of its rotation. That's your centering sensitivity. And then as you turn through your rotation or through your lock, as you get to full lock, it becomes your outer rotation. So for this instance, we'll just say, center is center at 12, and then our full lock will be over here at 9. So the nonlinear, what this does is as we turn through rotation, if we have it on 0, the turning forces get distributed more evenly. So the rate at which you turn through is the rate at which the game reacts to you turning through the corner. Um, so If you go up on this reduces that centering sensitivity. So if you're going into a corner and you feel like your centering is a little too responsive, maybe going into the corner and then it gets a little lazy as you turn through, that could be a result of your nonlinear being off. Or it could be vice versa. If you feel like you're going into the corner and it's lazy and then all of a sudden you're snapping down into the corner or something like that, um, that could mean that it's too high. For the dead zone and overshoot pretty much work hand in hand with one another. Again, this is that extra layer of degree of rotation. So your dead zone is typically the inside dead zone, and it is what it says it is. It creates a dead spot in the centering of your wheel. So if you're going down straightaways and you're going back and forth or going into a corner and it feels like nothing's happening at all, and if you have dead zone in it, then that's exactly what it is. Then, five, we'll just say five is 5 degrees. So for 5 degrees of steering, you won't have any response. And then all of a sudden, once you get past that 5 degrees, it'll come in, so on and so forth. Overshoot is the outer portion of your rotation. So the more overshoot you add, and the quicker it gets to full lock before you physically get to full lock. So for the speed sensitivity, this is where speed comes into play. So everything I explained before is more lower speed, um, you know, resting, uh, resting responses. So this game, as you increase speed, I believe default was 25. I have it on 95. As you increase speed, if you have this up, it reduces the sensitivity. We'll say anything over 100 mile an hour. You could be feeling lazy under 100, and then as you get up over 100, you could be feeling more responsive or something like that, and that could be an indicator of your speed sensitivity being off. So as you go up on this and you increase speed, the less effect it has on your range of movement, meaning um, at 25, you increase speed, you're basically reducing your degree of rotation to, let's say, 540. Whereas at 95 or 100, as you increase speed, it virtually has little to no effect on your degree of rotation and doesn't increase or decrease your sensitivity. Speed sensitivity nonlinear is that outer portion of the rotation, seemingly. As you increase speed, um, your range and initial response might be okay, but as you get into the corner, maybe you're getting into the tires or something and you feel like it's a little early for that through your turning radius. That could be a result of the nonlinear. But I believe it's at 100, and that's where I left it at because I like to have full range of movement in my wheel. Um, Damping is feedback related. So damping I've left default because, again, like I said, I do that in my wheel. I run about 50%. Um, so I hope that all kind of helps maybe understand some of what's going on within these wheels and maybe kind of helps lay out the different um, layers and different ways um, that you can adjust these wheels and how they work. They really are kind of complex and pretty confusing, but once you get an idea of what's going on, it gets a little easier with time for sure. So